It's a quiet afternoon in South Carolina, the kind of quiet that feels almost practiced. Cedar Street is all symmetry and silence, lawns trimmed within an inch of perfection, wind chimes that never sound too loud. The kind of place where people wave with one hand and judge with the other. Inside the last blue house on the block, Malik Turner sits behind a glowing laptop screen. 34 years old, black, calm, deliberate, the kind of man who breathes before he speaks. He's on a client Zoom call explaining a network diagnostic issue when suddenly his camera freezes. He sighs. Not again. He checks the signal. Nothing unusual. Then he opens his router logs and there it is, a device he doesn't recognize. CedarNet 001. He frowns. The name feels too familiar, too close, like something nearby. He grabs his phone, heads outside to reset the router manually. Across the hedge, a pair of eyes watches him, quiet, suspicious eyes. That's Patricia Hale, 52, the self-appointed guardian of Cedar Street. She's standing behind her white picket fence, pruning roses that don't need pruning. In her mind, Malik is the kind of neighbor who never fits neatly into a box, too quiet to be friendly, too focused to be normal. Malik is just standing near his porch, phone in hand, typing network commands into a diagnostic app. But to Patricia, it looks like something else entirely. She squints. He's mumbling to himself, moving fast. Her imagination fills in the blanks. Is he recording? Hacking? Filming the houses? She hesitates, then reaches for her phone. Her fingers hover over 9211. And that's how trouble begins on Cedar Street. Not with shouting, not with violence, but with a whisper that says, something's not right. She tells the dispatcher, there's a man outside. He's been standing there for 10 minutes doing something strange with his phone. I think he's hacking into people's systems. Her voice is calm, polite, practiced, not hate-filled, just certain. The most dangerous kind of certainty. And as she hangs up, Malik's still outside, unaware that someone has just rewritten his afternoon into a potential crime scene. The air hums with heat. Lawn sprinklers tick rhythmically in the distance. Malik leans against the porch rail, scrolling through IP addresses, muttering, CedarNet 1, what are you? Inside his house, a photo frame catches sunlight, his late mother smiling beside him, holding up a proud of you mug from his college graduation. She'd worked 2 jobs to buy this house. He promised he'd keep it quiet, keep it clean, keep it safe. But peace is fragile when someone else controls the narrative. He finished what he was doing outside and then headed inside to continue his meeting. But what he didn't expect was cops at his door because he was resetting his router. The sound comes soft at first, a gentle knock, almost polite. But Malik knows that kind of knock. It's the sound of someone arriving already convinced you've done something wrong. He opens the door to see 2 officers standing on his porch, framed by the orange wash of sunset. The first, Officer Raymond Holt, mid-40s, tall, calm, eyes that look like they've seen too many versions of this same scene. Beside him, Officer Jasmine Lee, younger, watchful, hands steady near her belt. Not tense, just cautious. Evening, sir, Holt says. We got a call about some suspicious activity. Malik's brow furrows. Suspicious? Doing what? Neighbor said you were outside, using some kind of device, maybe accessing networks in the area. There's a pause, that quiet beat where Malik could laugh or snap or shut the door. Instead, he breathes. I'm resetting my Wi-Fi, he says. Calm, level, router's acting up again. Across the hedge, Patricia steps onto her porch, arms folded, watching like a director reviewing her own scene. There, she says. That's him. He's always outside doing something weird. Officer Lee frowns. Ma'am, we'll handle it, thank you. Malik forces a small, polite smile. He's been here before. Not this exact moment, but close enough to recognize the shape of it. The disbelief, the performance of calm. The invisible checklist in his mind. Hands visible, voice steady, don't move too fast. He gestures toward his open door. You can come inside. I can show you what I'm doing. They follow him in. His house is quiet, minimalist. Framed art, a few open books, and a TV on mute showing a paused YouTube tutorial on server logs. Malik sits, mirrors his router data onto the TV screen. This is what I'm checking, he says. That's my network traffic, but there's a device I don't recognize, CedarNet 01. Officer Holt studies it. Lee leans closer. That's an odd label. Looks like a camera feed. Malik clicks. The screen shifts. A grainy live video appears, not of his house, but another living room. Everyone goes still. You can hear the refrigerator hum. The feed shows someone else's home. Floral curtains, a clock ticking above a couch. Holt narrows his eyes. That's not your place, is it? Malik shakes his head slowly. No, it's not. For a moment, the accusation hovers between them, and then starts to crumble. Lee glances back at Patricia through the window, still watching, still sure she did the right thing. But something tells her this story isn't going to end the way Patricia expects. If you've been holding your breath so far, you'll want to stay for what happens next. Stories like this don't end the way people think they will. Subscribe to Untold Black Struggles so you don't miss more stories like this, because what's coming next will turn this whole street upside down. Back inside, Malik scrolls through connection logs again, tracing the device. CedarNet 001 jumps between IPs, almost like it's hiding. The officers exchange a glance. Holt says quietly, "Keep it open. We're going to look deeper into this." Outside, the sun dips behind the rooftops. Cedar Street hums with that strange kind of silence that always follows suspicion, the kind that feels like someone holding their breath behind a curtain. Malik doesn't know it yet, but the same thing that got him accused is about to expose the real danger that's been living just 4 houses down. And when that truth finally comes out, Cedar Street will never sound quiet again. Inside Malik's apartment, Officer Holt reaches for his radio. "Dispatch, can you get us a tech unit to Cedar Street? We've got a possible digital intrusion." Lee interrupts softly. "Wait, look at the timestamp." The video feed refreshes, not from a random source overseas, but a local IP address. The data tag shows root source, Cedar Network Node 4. Lee frowns. "That's not coming from far. That's somewhere around here." Malik clicks a trace function. Dots light up on the map, one for his house, one for the connected device. Both dots sit within the same neighborhood. Officer Holt mutters, "You're telling me this signal's coming from down the street?" Malik nods slowly. Someone close, maybe even next door. For the first time, the weight of the moment shifts, away from Malik towards something else. Lee's posture changes. Her hand moves away from her holster. She's no longer looking at Malik. She's looking with him. She glances outside where Patricia still lingers. Still convinced she's the hero of the story. Lee lowers her voice. "Mind if we keep watching this?" "Be my guest," Malik says. On the screen, the camera feed pans slightly as if remotely controlled. A shadow moves past the frame, someone walking through the other room. A young boy's voice echoes faintly, calling for his mom. Malik stiffens. That's this neighborhood, isn't it?" Lee nods slowly. "Looks like it." Then from outside, Patricia's voice cuts through the air. "Officers, is everything okay in there?" Lee and Holt exchange a look. Holt steps closer to the window, keeping his voice low. "Ma'am, please stay on your porch." She hesitates. "Is he in trouble?" Lee says evenly, "Not the one you think." That stops Patricia cold. Inside, Malik scrolls through the data logs again, each one marked with local IP traces. He zooms in. The device's source bounces between routers, hopping through weak passwords in the area. Then, one of the addresses freezes. Cedar Street, House 14. Malik frowns. "That's 4 houses down from here." Lee types the address into her tablet. Her eyes widen. She turns to Holt. "Ray, that's registered to a Patricia Hale." Outside, through the curtains, Patricia's silhouette stiffens. The world goes quiet. No wind, no birds, just the low hum of Malik's computer fan. Inside, Holt exhales. "I think we need to pay your neighbor a visit." Patricia knocks on the window, then, her voice trembling slightly, "Is there a problem?" Lee opens the door, calm but cold. "Ma'am, we need to speak with you about a device in your home." Patricia laughs, a quick, nervous sound. "A device? In my home? What are you talking about?" Holt holds up his tablet. "Your network is broadcasting a camera feed that doesn't belong to you." Her smile falters. "That's impossible." "Then we'll check," Holt says simply. "You got a teenager at home, ma'am?" Patricia swallows. "My son, Tyler. Why?" Lee's tone softens, not kind, just careful, "Because we think he might have connected to some things he shouldn't have." "If you think the story ends here, you're wrong. Because what these officers find inside that house changes everything. Make sure you subscribe right now." Back inside Malik's home, Holt gives him a nod. "Thank you for your time, sir. You actually just helped us with something serious." Malik folds his arms. Guess it's a good thing I checked my Wi-Fi, huh? Holt offers a tight smile. Yeah, good thing. As they leave, Malik stands at his window, watching the flashing patrol lights roll down the block toward Patricia's house. For the first time all evening, she looks uneasy, hands shaking, face pale, the irony almost poetic. Malik's voice comes low, like a quiet echo meant only for himself. You called them for me, he whispers, but they're coming for you. The camera lingers on his reflection, calm, resolute, framed by the glow of his TV screen where the frozen video feed still plays. A child's voice echoes faintly through the speakers. Then silence. Inside Patricia's house, the air feels heavy. The hum of electronics fills the space. Monitors, LED strips, a custom-built PC rig that glows faintly blue in the corner. Lee's eyes scan the room. You said your son's into computers? Patricia nods, her voice breaking. Yes, but he's just a kid. A door creaks open upstairs. Footsteps, slow, uneasy. Tyler Hale, 19, appears pale, hoodie up, headphones hanging around his neck. His eyes dart between his mother, the officers, and Malik, who's standing in the doorway, silent. Tyler, Patricia says, her voice trembling. They trace something to here. Tell them it's wrong. But the boy doesn't answer. His lips tremble, his fingers twitch nervously. Then behind him, on his monitor, a flicker of light. Lee steps past him and peers closer. The screen shows multiple tabs, video feeds, dozens, different living rooms, bedrooms, garages. He wasn't just peeking, he was watching the entire neighborhood. Holt moves quickly. Son, step back. Tyler raises his hands. I didn't do anything wrong, I was just curious. Lee points at the screen. Curious? You were inside people's private cameras. Tyler's breathing quickens. They left them open, no passwords. It's not illegal if it's open. Malik's jaw tightens. You were watching me? He asks quietly. Tyler looks down. I didn't know who you were. I just clicked a few feeds. I didn't mean to. You didn't mean to what? Malik cuts in. Spy? Record? You didn't mean to see my mother's photo on the wall while I was working? And suddenly, every moment of quiet suspicion, every side-eye Malik ever felt on Cedar Street, makes sense. Patricia's hands tremble. Tyler, tell me this isn't true. Tyler can't look at her. I didn't hurt anyone, he whispers. Lee gestures to the evidence on the screen. You were collecting video feeds from multiple homes. You understand that's surveillance, right? He mutters, I just wanted to see how far I could go. It started as a game. Malik shakes his head. A game that made people feel unsafe, and you let your mom call the cops on me for fixing what you broke. Patricia collapses onto a chair, sobbing. She whispers, Oh God, oh my God. But here's the part no one saw coming. The moment when Patricia realizes the real threat was raised in her own house. Officer Holt begins collecting evidence, screenshots, device logs, everything. Lee notices a folder labeled CedarNet, the same name from Malik's router logs. Inside, saved video clips, time-stamped, organized by house number. Patricia covers her mouth, crying harder. Holt says quietly, We'll have to take him in, ma'am. Tyler pleads, Please, I didn't mean for it to go that far. I didn't even watch all of them. But Lee interrupts, You watched enough. Malik turns to leave, but stops at the doorway. He looks back, not with anger as enough, but with the kind of disappointment that speaks louder than shouting. He says softly, You called me suspicious, but your house was the one hiding secrets. It's a line that cuts deeper than any insult, because truth, when revealed, doesn't need to shout. If stories like this make you stop and think, subscribe to this channel. We tell real stories that show how quick judgment can blind justice. Holt leads Tyler out in handcuffs. The neighborhood has gone silent. Curtains shift behind windows as people peek, realizing what's happening. Patricia stands frozen on her porch as her son is placed in the back of the patrol car. She looks across the street to Malik's house, the same house she once called about, the same man she feared for no reason. And now, the one person standing calm, watching quietly, is him. Because in the end, Cedar Street's danger didn't come from the man fixing his Wi-Fi. It came from the home that thought it was too good to be questioned. Sometimes the loudest alarms don't come from sirens, they come from the truth finally connecting. But the silence that follows, that one stays. The blue and red lights fade from Patricia's driveway, leaving behind an eerie calm, the kind that doesn't just quiet the street, it silences people. Neighbors peek from behind their blinds, whispering names, guessing what happened, but no one steps outside. No one ever does when it's about facing what they ignored. And while everyone's pretending not to see, Malik stands there watching the patrol car disappear down Cedar Street, the same car that came for him less than an hour ago. Now it carries away the real criminal. Patricia stands frozen on her porch, her hands trembling. The same porch she stood on when she called 911. Her voice now barely a whisper. I didn't know. I thought. Malik turns, calm as still water. You thought wrong. He doesn't raise his tone, doesn't show anger, because sometimes the quietest words echo the loudest. She takes a step closer. Please, Malik, I didn't mean to. He stops her with just a look. Ma'am, he says evenly, you didn't need to mean it. You just needed to believe it. That line hits her harder than anything else tonight, because she knows he's right. The camera lingers on the two of them, standing under the flicker of the porch light. Two houses, two worlds. One truth hanging heavy between them. The sprinklers come on again, hissing softly. It's the same sound from earlier, but everything feels different now. Inside her home, Patricia can still hear her son's voice, pleading with the officers. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. The same words she's repeating in her head, and realizing how hollow they sound. Malik walks back toward his fence. For a moment, it seems like he might say more, but he doesn't. Because what could he possibly add that she hasn't already learned the hard way? Sometimes silence is the sharpest form of justice. If you've been following this story and you feel the weight of what it's saying, take a second to subscribe, because this isn't just about one neighborhood. It's about every quiet corner where judgment still hides behind concern. The next morning, the street is unusually still. No dog walkers, no lawn mowers, no kids on bikes, just a long row of perfect houses trying to look innocent again. But Malik notices something. For the first time, no one meets his eyes to smile politely. Instead, they look away. Because guilt has a way of spreading, even to the ones who think they didn't play a part. He walks his trash bin to the curb. Across the street, Patricia stands in her driveway, eyes swollen from crying. She wants to speak, but can't. The shame is too fresh. Malik simply nods. Not out of forgiveness, but acknowledgement. That's enough, because some apologies aren't meant to be heard. They're meant to be lived. Later that afternoon, Officer Lee drives back down Cedar Street. She parks quietly outside Malik's house, steps out and leans on her car. I just wanted to say, she begins, I'm sorry for how that started. Malik shakes his head. Not your fault. But Lee insists, still, it shouldn't have happened that way. He gives a small smile. The system's not broken, officer, it's just wired to the wrong signals. She pauses, because the truth in that line lingers like static. Lee nods, gives him a soft look and leaves. As her car drives off, the camera lingers on Malik's reflection in his window. Half shadow, half light, the duality of being seen and still misunderstood. Night falls again. Malik sits by his desk, router lights blinking steady green this time. His Wi-Fi's fixed, but that's not what matters. He looks at the small photo of his late mother by the desk, her smile calm, proud. She used to tell him, don't fight every battle, son. Some victories just need time to reveal themselves. And tonight he finally understands what she meant. Because the truth revealed itself, not through shouting, not through chaos, but through calm, undeniable exposure. Across the street, Patricia's house stays dark. No porch light, no curtains open, only silence, the kind that feels like punishment. In the distance, the faint hum of the city mixes with cicadas, their rhythm echoing through the night. Malik steps outside for a breath of air, the same spot where everything began. He looks up at the stars, quiet, distant, unbothered, and for the first time all day he allows himself to smile, because sometimes peace isn't loud. It's just the sound of knowing you were right all along. He turns back toward the door, hand resting on the frame. That old porch light flickers again, the one his mother used to leave on. He watches it blink weakly, then steady itself. She always said the light was for me. Malik murmurs, guess it still is. He steps inside. The door closes softly. They always say they didn't mean any harm, but harm doesn't need intent, just comfort mixed with ignorance. He fixed his Wi-Fi that day, but some signals, trust, fairness, humanity, they're still buffering. And on Cedar Street, that quiet hum you hear at night, it's not the routers anymore. It's the sound of people finally realizing who they've been watching and who's been watching them. If this story made you think, hit that subscribe button, because on this channel we don't just tell stories, we reveal the truth hiding in plain sight.